Would you like me to send you macarons? I don't know. What questions? What would I ask? Huh. I should have scripted this video. As you can tell, it is not scripted. I did not plan this out in advance. I just printed out the questions and hit record like the pro that I am. In my last video, the vlog style one, not the Lord of the Rings macaron video, I mentioned that I would be doing a formal introduction to this channel. And I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about doing that. I thought about maybe I could do my top 10 reads from last year or something along those lines. And then I saw Nicole from Sweeney Says do this delightful video on the Booktube Newbie Tag. And I thought, yeah, that'll do. I'll steal that, thank you. So without further ado, I have my clipboard of the Booktube Newbie Tag questions, and I will now go through them. So hi everyone, if you are brand new here, my name is Sara, this channel is Sara's Bookish Macarons, and the first question is, why did you start this channel? Why did I start this channel? I don't know, because I thought it'd be fun. So my whole shtick on the internet in bookish spaces is making book-themed macarons. And while I do enjoy this, I don't really talk too much about the books that I then bake into these delicious little cookies. So a personal goal of mine for 2025 was to do more book reviews, book recommendations, and actually getting to talk about them. And so that's why I created this channel, is to give myself an opportunity to do more kind of long form content on actually discussing the books that I love so much. Okay, question numbers 2 and 3 kind of relate, so I'm just gonna read them together and answer them together. So question number 2, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube, and what are you most excited for about this channel? Why, thank you for asking, questionnaire. So I kind of answered this already with the first question, and based on the name of this channel, Sara's Bookish Macarons, I think it's pretty apparent what the fun, unique thing is I bring to the table. I make book-themed macarons. I make these like very intricate, fancy book-themed macarons, and that will continue on this channel. And this again kind of goes into question number 3, what am I excited about for this channel? I'm excited to not just go into kind of long form bookish content, but to maybe do some kind of behind the scenes stuff on the Bookish Macarons. I already posted one vlog video. Unfortunately, it's filmed vertically, not horizontally. I'm so sorry. On the behind the scenes of making one set of Bookish Macarons. Those are for the House of Frank macarons that I did. So yeah, I want to do more things like that, as well as maybe some bookish decorating tutorials. Let me know in the comments, is there anything in particular you'd like to see from me? Because in my head, I think this will be a spot for me to talk about books, continue baking books into, well, not like literally taking a book and putting it into an oven and baking it, but baking book-themed macarons and maybe doing some, like I said, behind the scenes type stuff for how I decorate the macarons, how I get the ideas for them, that sort of thing. I am really excited for the opportunity to just kind of play around. I really see YouTube as just an opportunity for me to be more creative and to try out a different type of media. And so this will be an opportunity for me to kind of just play around and experiment with more long form stuff. Question number 4, when did you start reading? I kind of always been a reader, I guess. No, I mean, I started reading as a kid, obviously. I think one of the first books I remember reading and really loving was the Wrinkle in Time series. And I think that's kind of what kicked off my love of science fiction in particular. So fun fact, I also really love Doctor Who, and I love science fiction books that kind of fit in that campy Doctor Who space. I will say I did start reading again for fun after grad school. During grad school, I obviously read a lot, and I was reading things that I was interested in because I was working on my master's, but I definitely got a little burnt out from all of the academic texts and journals. And I remember one day I just decided to read the Hunger Games series, just on a whim, blew through it in an entire weekend. I was like, yeah, I think I'm done with like academic reading for now. I just need a break from nonfiction. And I dove headfirst into fiction. And I still read nonfiction from time to time, but don't really read academic journals much. And I don't Don't miss it. Don't miss that at all. Question 5. Why do you love reading? That's such a loaded question. Like, why do I love experiencing life? You might as well ask. There's different reasons why I love reading, and I think it depends on the book. I think another reason why I really love reading is to gain new insights and to, it sounds so loaded, but to grow as a person. I really do believe that reading has the ability to foster empathy. It's not guaranteed that reading a book will make you more empathetic as a person, but I do think it has the ability to make you more empathetic. And I think that that's a powerful message, that you can read a story from somebody else's perspective and kind of put yourself in their shoes for a bit. And I feel like that's a really sentimental answer, and I don't know how people are going to feel about it, but yeah, I think it's nice. Oh yeah, and if you couldn't tell, like, from everything behind me, obviously I love fairy tales. And so that's another aspect why I love reading, because it can be really magical. And that sounds super cheesy, but it's so true. I love the aspect of escaping into a world that is magical and fantastical, but, at the end of the day can still give you new insights about things in your own world as well. So that's why I love reading. Number 6, what book or series got you into reading? So I kind of already answered this a bit, but I think the first book I really remember reading as a kid and wanting to continue on with the series was A Wrinkle in Time. I also loved the Chronicles of Narnia as well. That was another big book series that I devoured as a kid. So yeah, I just kind of always remembered loving reading. I also, as I mentioned earlier, just loved reading fairy tales in particular. If you can't tell from everything about my office, I never really outgrew the fairy tale stage of life. So yeah, is that a stage of life? I don't know. I just always been kind of nerdy and into magic and dragons and fairies and princesses. Editing this video is going to be a nightmare. Anyway, moving on. Number 7. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? This is kind of hard because I feel like my favorite booktubers I'm already connected with on other platforms. So if I have a question for them, I usually just ask them in like their Discord or something. I would just ask their advice. What advice do you have for a newbie coming into the booktube space? Is there anything in particular you wish you had known when you started your booktube? Those sorts of things. I think that would be really helpful, is just kind of general advice for how to handle this space would be a good place to start. Also, would you like some bookish macarons? Are there any bookish macarons you'd like to see me bake? Let me know. That's another question. Number 8. What do you think will be the hardest challenges of starting your booktube channel? Editing? I think editing sounds annoying. The honest answer, probably editing. Oh man, I'm used to short form content, obviously, and I know how to edit my Macaron videos. I've got like a system down in place for those, and I am very much a booktube newbie. I'm a newbie to sitting down and talking about books at a longer length, and so I think that's going to be just kind of the biggest challenge, is getting used to a new style of bookish content, and yeah, just the practical technical editing aspect of it seems a little daunting. Number 9, where do you read? Here. I read here. I love this space. Here, I read here. I've got a nice little sofa with an ottoman and my bookshelves. This is my office. I love my office. At some point I'll do like an office tour because it's really special to me. But yeah, this is usually where I read. The other place I often read is in the kitchen because I do a lot of audiobooks while baking. So that's the other place that I often read books. Question number 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I think I've answered this already. So as you can tell from everything around me, I mostly read fantasy and sci-fi. I do read things outside of those genres as well. I'll dabble in a little horror. I'll dabble in a little romance. But for the most part, fantasy and sci-fi is where I feel at home. I'd say within the fantasy sci-fi genre, there's 3 different types of subgenres that I tend to gravitate towards. I'm not even sure they can be called subgenres, but within that realm, I'd say I'm either drawn to science fiction books that have a more campy style to it, something that kind of reminds me of an episode of Doctor Who. And within the fantasy genre, I really like either cozy fantasy, something that kind of feels very comforting, curl up with a warm cup of tea on a cold winter or autumn day, that type of book. Or number 3, kind of fairy tale folklore retellings, but with a darker twist. So T. Kingfisher type stuff. Last Tale of the Flower Bride as well, I'd say falls under that category, even though it's not a specific retelling. It has a lot of elements of those kind of darker, grim fairy tales. So those are the 3 types of books I tend to be drawn towards. But again, I read all types of genres. Number 11, what does your book collection look like? All right, we can do a little tour. All right, so these are my bookshelves, and they're pretty much mostly fantasy and sci-fi. This is not the extent of my collection. These are just kind of, for the most part, like my special editions, and the books that I really love are in here. I have other like nonfiction books from like grad school and stuff that are dispersed throughout the house. I also have a lot of books from my childhood that are kind of boxed up in my in-laws' house right now because we never brought them over when we moved into this house. So at some point I will do that and I will be reunited with all my books. But for now, this is my book collection. Can I tilt this up? That up there, that LED light, is from my wedding, and it says Our Love Story on it. I think that's nice. I will say my shelves are not particularly well organized in terms of genre or subgenre. There's like a few sections where I tried to pair books together that have similar themes. Like on this shelf, for example, these are mostly vampire books on this side, just because I decided to put all the vampire books together. And this shelf, a lot of these books are YA, whereas the other shelves are more adult fantasy and sci-fi. But yeah, they're not particularly well organized. I should probably work on that. Finally, this is the last one, tag someone else. So I'm pretty sure most of my book talk friends who've come over to Booktube or are planning to come over to Booktube have either already filmed one of these videos or have been tagged in somebody else's video on the Booktube Newbie Tag. So instead of tagging anyone specifically, I will tag you, viewer. If you come across this video and you've made it to the end of this, A, congratulations, thank you very much. And B, if you are so inspired to make a video like this, consider yourself tagged.
By the way, you're an awesome man!
And with that, that is my formal introduction to Sara's Bookish Macarons. I hope you enjoy and I hope you stick around.